All right, welcome everyone. This is Eretmis Cyber Chat. We do this every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And today we will be looking at the state of cybersecurity by going through a bunch of cybersecurity reports for 2022 and some 2023. And we will we will introduce what cybersecurity reports are, industry reports, annual industry reports, and what you can do with those and what kind of information you'll be able to find in those. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu. I'm going to be your instructor / host for this program. We are transmitting on YouTube as well. And this is also going to be recorded and posted back on YouTube, the replay. So we will begin here shortly with cyber news. But before then, I would love to open the floor for any questions, comments before we kick it off whilst I'm trying to share the slides that we're going to be looking at. And we are going to look at, I think, 5 or 6 security reports, annual security reports, right? So there's going to be a lot of insights. Leonard, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Adu. So I asked a question earlier on about the suspect that was recently apprehended. I was asking, could we do tagging as a script kid for fun? So what own insight about this?
Okay, so if I got you right, I think you were coming in broken, or I don't know if it's on my side, but I think you were asking if the news that happened, if we will consider the airman as a script kiddie. Technically, no, right? He wasn't trying to, like, he had access to the information and he just took it and placed it where he wasn't supposed to, right? So he didn't really kind of hack or try to break or breach the system, right? So we not necessarily a script kiddie, but just for fun, you can target like that. But mostly when we talk about script kiddie, it's a type of a hacker who really doesn't know much of programming, right? They don't have their own script that they are using. They are using somebody else's script that they find somewhere online and other places, and they are using that for exploits, right? So they are not really well vested in what they are doing, so they don't really know what is really going on, whether it's going to work or not, right? So in this case, he had access to the information already, so he didn't try to breach, or he's not like your hacker or any type of hacker who try to breach and steal the information. So technically not a script kid.
He's an insider.
Yeah, insider threat. So
all right, thank you.
So, and that is the first for cyber news. That is what we are going to be discussing before we move on to what we are talking about tonight. Tonight. So we will still have people coming in. That is why we are a bit distracted. So, all right. Welcome everybody once again. So today's topic is we are looking at the state of cybersecurity, and we will be looking at different reports, industry reports. And this is also going to be an exposure to most of you when we talk about cybersecurity reports. And I'm also going to show you how you'll be able to use these reports to really get ahead of the game and gain some insights, right? So things that will probably get you, or things that will take you years to learn, or like some experiences that will take you years to have, you'll be able to get all those from different reports, right? And see exactly what is going on in the industry without even necessarily working in the industry. So that is what we'll be looking at. So I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu. For anybody who is new to our family, welcome. This is Eretmis Cyber Chat. We do this every Friday. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu, a former United States Army captain. I'm the founder of Eretmis Inc. and Eretmis Academy. I'm a cybersecurity professional. I'm a trainer, instructor. I love to teach. I'm a QSA. Our PCI, our cybersecurity stronghold within Eretmis Inc. is PCI DSS, right? We do PCI DSS audits and assessments. We are based in New York, and our academy obviously is online. We're also based in New York, but you can take any of our courses or our training anywhere in the world. So we are starting off today. We will first be looking at cyber news, right? Today we're just going to be discussing what happened to the airman, and what are some of the things they could have done well, and some of the things that maybe probably he didn't know, or like what he should have or shouldn't have done, right? And then we will jump into our main topic for tonight, that is our cybersecurity annual report and the types of reports, and we will look at some examples of the reports and really gain some insights into these reports. Okay, so cyber news, we are starting with yours truly. So this airman, he got arrested on Thursday, a 21-year-old, a pretty young man, works as National Guard. So for anybody who is not, maybe if you don't know the difference between, how like the military is set up. So they have the active duty, who are, active soldiers or airmen or seamen, right? So they do that, like that is their full-time job, right? And then they have other soldiers or airmen who are doing it part-time. So if you are doing it for the states, you have that tag. For the Army is National Guard, for the Air Force is National Guardsman, right? And then that, so if you hear anything national, that is more towards for the states, and reserve is for federal, right? So all part-time soldiers or part-time airmen, if you are reserve, you are for the federal government. If you are national, you are for the states, right? So for either reserve or national, you are doing it part-time. So I think they do drills twice or once a month or twice a month. Maybe I stand to be corrected by Michael and the rest on here. So this guy, I don't really know which, maybe some people who have read more about this will give me some insights. I don't know his MOS or his military occupation, but I believe he's probably working in intelligence, right? Something on those lines. And he was privy to some high level information. I don't know if it's top secret or secret, but that shows that he has either security clearance, he has secret or top secret clearance, right? So he is privy to this information, and I don't know for what, why he will download this information and just put it in the public space. So he got himself in trouble, long story short, and this can put him off to jail for a while, right? I don't really think he had any malicious intent. He's just being dumb, right? But ignorance of the law is no excuse. So we just have to be careful. Now, if anybody has any insights, or some people, okay, he was, yes, intelligence or IT security, I assume, because for you to have that information, you have to be working or come close to that information. You have to be working in intelligence. I mean, the fact that you have security, I had security clearance, I was a captain, but I wasn't privy to any of these information. So it's need to know, right? If your job doesn't require you to come in contact with that information, you wouldn't come in contact with that information. So for him to have access to that, then that means he was working on those lines, right? And I think maybe probably the Air Force could have also maybe, I'm not really sure how he was able to get the data, off work computer and use it, like post it elsewhere. So did he use pen drive or like some thumb drive, or did he just emailed it himself?
He took hard copies. He took hard copies.
Oh, and then he took pictures of it and then put it on there. Oh, okay. Wow. I mean, he went through all that trouble to get himself in trouble. I mean, so what could have, so I mean, I just want like 5 people. What do you think are some of the measures or controls they could have put in place to prevent this from happening? If you raise your virtual hand, I'll let you go. Leonard, go ahead.
No, that was an error. I didn't bring it down. Let me take it down.
Okay, Vincent.
Okay, Doctor, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, two things that are key for me, in this issue. I think the first thing is to first establish the fact that it was not a script kiddie, as someone had said earlier. It was just an insider threat. But to answer your question, I think the rule of least privilege would have solved a lot of problems, because 1 is 21. So I don't know when he joined and all that, but it seems to me like he had a lot of access. But if we're going by the rules of cybersecurity, the rule of least privilege would have solved a lot of that problem. Meaning, even if he was involved in all that, he wouldn't have had access to it because he had no need to know. So I think that would have helped.
Okay, great, thanks. Eliku.
Yeah, I think I agree with Pastor who just spoke. And one of the other things I'd like to say is usually when a person requests like information in a folder, I think just making sure that whatever was returned is what was given would help stop, because apparently he took the papers from like hard copies and maybe shoved them in his pocket and left with them. So that's one theory, because the paper was like folded in a hurry according to what was posted out there. So I believe if just like when you give a file and you expect when it comes back, it's not less than what someone took to view. I'm not sure what can be put in place when it's hard copy information to ensure that what's left or what somebody signed out is the exact same that is being signed in. And I believe some of these things you read in you have to like go into a place where they are stored and you read them there and leave them there and come out. So maybe making sure that not just one person is in there could also help. Having security cameras in the place could also help.
Okay. Thanks for that, your input, Eliku. Randall, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I was going to say similar to what Elikum said, but one thing is, what are they willing to do now that this has happened versus what they should have done? They should have done it anyway in the beginning, right? Sometimes we do stuff that we should do after we get burnt. I mean, it's like a kid's getting a spanking. You won't do it again after you get a spanking, so to speak. But beyond that point, obviously, no camera, no phones allowed, especially if it's not a government issued phone, and things of this nature.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Randall. Really great insight. I think Marcel, go ahead, Marcel.
Yes, I'm going to make a big assumption that maybe he may have been printing this thing remotely, so that I could feel free, because printing something like this probably maybe, so I'm going to assume that then I'll say maybe we could limit the access hours. Maybe you could limit remote access. That's another thing to think about. And then also certain documents could be, you could prevent people from printing them. You can't just print it. Maybe those are some of the things I can think about, given the situation.
Okay, thank you, Marcel. Ikena, if I got your name right. If I didn't, please let me know how to pronounce it well. Please go ahead.
This is Ike. Yeah, this
go
is
ahead, Ike.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, I think I support one or two things my other co-student said. They were supposed to be like when it comes to access control, privilege users access, But then I was confused. Why would he have such access without something going through, like the last speaker said? Why can't he go through other, like someone to verify and cross-check, like in access control? Before you approve something, it has to pass through the right person to make sure that anything you are approving is you're authorized, you have that access. Then you cannot be the only one to print it, look at it, and there's a kind of monitoring. There was nobody monitoring the system, what he's doing. He just have that access. Is he really? I don't know, because I'm thinking, does it mean he have that privilege access? Maybe that's why. But for me, I think they should have done better to put some access controls where when you want to log in, it will send notification to like the higher manager or security authority to say, okay, do this person have this access, and they'll grant the access. Like he's not supposed to have the access directly by himself like that. That's my contribution. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ike. I think next in line is Phoebe. Phoebe. Okay, so I either say Phoebe or okay, Phoebe. I'm gonna get it right. Phoebe, please go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everyone. This afternoon, I was listening to the news, and what I realized that the guy was a team member that they do a research on certain things. So it was believed that he was trusted so much, so they didn't even think that he would be doing certain things like that. So he has a privilege, but he just
abused it.
Abused the privilege. And what I realized also is that there was not proper monitoring. There was no proper monitoring. So that is what I can say. Okay.
Thank you, Phoebe. So I'm not gonna get it wrong now. So I have, is Michael on here? I just wanted to pick his brain on something real quick. I've not been in National Guard or Reserve, right? I've always been in active duty.
Yeah, Michael is here.
Yeah, from what I've seen when we used to work with National Guard and Reserve folks, right? They were more lax, you know, they were not, sometimes not really on top of their game. And this is not to take anything away from National Guard or Reserve, you know, folks. But Michael, you know, is a captain in the Air Force. He used to be on active duty. Now he's in Reserve or National. I don't know if Michael is doing like the National Guardsman or Reserve. But Michael, like, what is your take when you were on active duty, and then now that you are in the Reserve, like in terms of security, in terms of really keeping up to speed as to what is going on, and you know how serious people take their job. Like, what is your take on it? Because you've been on both sides. I cannot speak to it because I can only assume, you know, for those in the Reserve, not, I mean, because I've only been on active duty. What is your take on this, since you've been on both sides?
Yeah, Dr. Edu, thank you for giving me the platform. But yeah, this is a very, very strange situation to be honest with you, because the way the thing happened. So everybody who is allowed to work in that environment needs to have a top secret clearance. So I know that he 100% has a top secret clearance already, because you cannot have that before you can access, before going to that environment. That's number one. And number two, his role, he's just an IT guy, right? We call it his AFSC, or his MOS is the cyber transportation specialist. So they work on the IT and everything, the Pentagon. So what he did was he had access to a lot of data, right? So I'm here thinking from a security standpoint, I'm thinking about how did he, was he able to exfiltrate all that information? And mind you, I'm not here to insinuate anything, but this is something that we just got to know about it. Who knows? There might be someone who's also is doing the same thing, but we just don't know about it. This guy, what he did was he went online. He has a gaming platform that has people across the US, Russia, and Ukraine. So this is a very, very big deal. FBI did an investigation. He's been posting stuff online with regards to, I don't want to go into other details, but he has a platform that he works with people in Russia, in Ukraine. And what he was doing was posting all that information on the platform just to let them know that, hey, I'm the guy, I have access to all this information. But I'm actually surprised that there wasn't any form of checks, because I know they are always very tight. Before you log into anything, there has to be someone accessing, there has to be some form of control as to which side of the network you can access and stuff like that. But since he had a top secret clearance, and also since he's an IT guy, I'm thinking he has access to pretty much everything because he has to work on them. But my surprise was the way he was able to leak that information, and even just coming out of that room, I'm just surprised. So from a security standpoint, of course, there's some loopholes. They have to probably implement more security controls, both physical, technical, and also admin as well, to ensure that this doesn't happen again. But with your question with the National Guard and also with the active duty, it's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is active duty, that is your full-time job 24/7. With the National Guard, you only do it twice a month. Typically, it's the first Saturday and Sunday of every month. And depending on his role, he might probably be on some active duty orders that he's doing, maybe a 30-day orders down there, working for 30 days, 60 days, whatever the case may be. But with the difference, they all go through the same school, they go through the same training. The only difference is active duty, you do it all the time, 24/7, 365. But with the Guard, you only do your normal job on the civilian side, but you do your Air Force drill or the Air National Guard just 2 days in a month, which is typically the first Saturday and Sunday of every month.
Okay, thank you, Michael. So great insight. I think Ike and Alfred still has their virtual hands up. So I'm gonna let Ike go, or I don't know if Ike's is from the last time. But okay, let Alfred go first, and then Ike, and then we'll move on.
Sorry, it's from the last time.
Okay, then go ahead, Alfred.
Hi, Dr. Edu.
Yeah, how are you doing, Alfred?
Good, good. With my experience with the federal system or the federal government, most of these IT guys, they occasionally have access to top management systems, especially when they run into any problems or they want to troubleshoot anything. So they always grant them access to get into their systems, and they go through a lot of stuff. I don't know if this was one of those occasions where this guy fumbled into some of these materials through that means and got access to all of that material. So it occasionally happens. And sometimes, considering that he was 21, he might have joined the system earlier on and had been bumped up to a certain level where he was one of those guys that probably they upgraded a case to him, or they mostly upgrade cases to him, and he has access to some of the bigger stuff. That may be one of the reasons. Then second, considering that these materials have been online or in a forum for almost for months, it may be the race of this guy. That is a possibility, because people who doesn't have certain privileges in certain races may not, or may be monitored more closely than certain races. So that may be a possibility as well, that he wasn't monitored because of who he was. And a lot of times they have more confidence in such people than the others. So that is what I am thinking happened here. That is why this material went for so long without being caught. That was just a contribution I wanted to keep in.
Okay, Alfred. Thanks for your insight. So now there is a lot of speculation. I mean, everything we're talking about is what ifs. We don't exactly know, what happened. We are yet to get more information. So, but it's good insights. I mean, if you are able to, come up with solutions, possible solutions to this, you're on the right path. But overall, I think access control, they should have monitored it well, right? And trust, right? They shouldn't just be giving people blank checks when it comes to trust. I know, we get complacent when you work with, certain people for a long time, you expect them to do certain things, right? And especially like in the Air Force setting or in the Army setting, if somebody is at a certain rank, you expect, you know, a certain level of discipline and integrity from them, right? So not, you know, everybody is going to play by those rules, or, you know, people have their own ideologies and things. So I remember there was a case whereby I think one private in the Army, he's probably still in jail, right? He tried to review supposedly classified information to some, I think like some folks in Afghanistan or somewhere. They didn't know it was FBI folks that he was dealing with. And guess what he was trying to review? It was simply manuals for like Humvees and vehicles that we use. You can find these online anyways, right? So, and he was trying to give it to them for free because he hated the United States. And like this was, you know, like a guy who's been in, I think he was in the Army for like 2 or 3 years, right? So I don't really, so, and that got him in trouble. So, but this guy really had some, you know, good info, right? That this is also going to land him in trouble. So it depends. Maybe they might be doing everything right with their head screwed on right, and then they might just veer off, or just to show off, or because of some ideology or something that they've really started indulging themselves in might influence all this. So that is why insider threats, sometimes you don't really see it coming. It is going to hit you on the blind side. So we just have to make sure we are putting layers in place. That way we are doing our defense in depth, well-hardened defense in depth. That way things like this, we are able to minimize it. I mean, you cannot totally stop things like this from happening, but you know, we can minimize it. So it can also be, I'm not sure that this was by accident, that it just, you know, probably uploading something else and he uploaded this onto some game site. That might be far from the truth, but I mean, who knows? You might come up with some funny defense, right? So let's jump in. We are going to look at the state of cybersecurity, and we are going to do that through looking at annual cybersecurity reports, right? So what are annual cybersecurity reports? So before we even jump into that, for everyone on here, whether you are already working in the security space or you are trying to get into the security space, like I always say, you have to be a long-term learner, or how do they call it? Lifelong. I remember when I was doing my PhD, they have some term like lifelong learner, right? Lifelong learner of the industry. So as part of being a lifelong learner of the industry, you have to be aware of almost all the top industry reports that comes out annually, because these industry reports are based on research. They are based on industry insights, right? So by sitting at your desk, being a cybersecurity analyst, a cybersecurity manager, information security assurance specialist, you are doing your job all right, but you have to know what is going on in other areas and other sectors and other industries when it comes to security, right? That is how you'll be able to stay abreast with what is going on. And then when you have to switch jobs and go elsewhere, there's not going to be a big shock, right? Because now you've just been doing just this one thing, and a lot of things are going on and you don't even know what is going on. And then also you see industry trends, right? So cyber security annual reports, just like other annual reports in other industries, within the cybersecurity space or information security space, annual reports are made by different organizations, right? Different companies, and there is really no limit to who can make annual reports, right? These are not necessarily academic papers, but they kind of mimic academic research by interviewing industry players and seeing what is going on. So they are reports that are published by different industry players. And the main goal of these reports, we will look at the goals, right? But just a gist of that, like the main goals are just to give insights, do some analysis of things that are going on, latest trends, threats, most important threats and vulnerabilities, and type of risks, you know, like the different types of risks that are going on, right? And how attackers are attacking incidents, different types of incidents, what attackers are using. There was a report, I think I still couldn't remember to add that, but there was a study on ransomware, right? think that was in 2021, 2019, thereabout, where like after the research, they found that most companies, if you get hit with a ransomware and you pay the ransom, the hackers wouldn't still release your data, right? If it wasn't from that report, everybody in the industry doesn't know what Randall is doing or what Eliku LLC is doing, right? So they get breached, they get hit with the ransomware, they pay the money, they don't get their data back, but then nobody else knows about it, that they didn't get their data back, right? So when this report came out and everybody in the industry realized, oh, then what is the need of paying these attackers the ransom, right? So they stop paying the ransom. Okay, you can take our data, it's going to affect our business, but we're going to move on with our lives, because when we pay the millions, you are not still going to give us our data. So now everybody who was getting breached or who became a victim were also protesting that they were not going to pay, they were going to take their losses, right? Now attackers saw that that was bad for business, so they started releasing some of the data, and then victims also started paying some of the money. So it's kind of funny how just that one report was able to turn that whole thing around. Either than that, up to now, you still pay the ransom and still not get your data, right? Hoping you are going to get the data, you're going to pay millions and still not get your data, right? But that exposure really, exposed these malicious actors, and now they had to change their tactics by releasing some of the data or even all of it. And then victims, when they saw that, okay, they are releasing some of it, then when you get breached, you pay in the hope that you might be one of the lucky ones that you are going to get your data back, right? So annual cybersecurity reports or information security reports, they are really predominantly to give insights into the industry. And then we also have, so these reports, they have different focus or like different focuses for like whatever that company wants to, whatever trend or route that they want to take, right? There are some that focus on like the workforce within cybersecurity space. There are some that will focus on incident response. There are some that will focus on data breaches, right? So we will look at some of like the popular ones that are out there, right? So now let's look at the goals. I think we kind of briefly touched on some of the goals why these reports are made annually, right? So aside the companies who are making these reports, trying to exhibit their, trying to show that they are real players within the industry, or like they matter when it comes to the industry, trying to sell themselves. They're also doing a good service, right? By taking the time, paying researchers to really go through the whole entire year and do this research and give us the results for us to get some insight. So the first goal, or not in any special order, but one of the goals, right, is to analyze the latest threats and vulnerabilities, which is key, right? We wouldn't be able to know what is going on in terms of threats and vulnerabilities if it wasn't for most of these research and these reports that we are able to get our hands on, right? So this will really inform you if you work in any organization, or even as an individual. If you go through some of these reports, you'll be able to pick up on some of the trending threats, right? So you plan accordingly to prevent yourself from falling victim to this. And if you're an organization, it behooves you and your security team to take these reports seriously, right? And we are going to look at some of these reports. Now, the second thing is they present trends and statistics within the industry, right? So we'll look at some of the trends and statistics when you look at the different types of reports. Now, also best practices. So after going through some of the threats and trends and stuff, they also they give some recommendations as to some of the best practices that we can indulge in to help stay on the right side of security, right? And then also to raise awareness, very big, right? To raise awareness of things that are going on within the industry. So it can be threats, it can be vulnerabilities, it can be, maybe some easy ways of doing things, right? Or just some good info that is going to help the organization in general, right? And if you are somebody who wants to get into the industry, it is good for you to know some of the statistics within the industry in terms of employment, which areas are employing more, what skills are more needed than others, right? To have all those at your fingertips, right? So that way it will inform how you apply for jobs and which jobs you apply for, right? And then also tracking the progress of the whole entire cybersecurity industry. These reports also helps us to do that, right? And then industry specific or regional analysis, we are able to get that as well. Incidents, that is big. There are a lot of incident response. There are a lot of incidents reports out there as well. We'll look at, I think we will look at one. And so now let's look at some of the popular cybersecurity annual reports that are out there. One of the bigger, like the big names when it comes to these reports, Verizon, right? So Verizon, they are not just into cellular cell phone stuff, but they are also a big player when it comes to cybersecurity or information security. So Verizon, they have the data breach investigations report, right? That gives a lot of good insight into data breaches throughout the whole entire year, right? Which industries, you know, were more vulnerable, which ones suffered more data breaches than others. And then they also have for PCI, anybody who is, you know, really who wants to dive head deep into PCI, to be a learner of the industry. Even PCI PCI don't have any annual reports, right? But Verizon do. So Verizon has the payment security report, and they've been doing it for the past, I think, like 12 years. So every year they come up with a report. They'll show you which requirements organizations are struggling with, which ones are, you know, they are passing easily. So if you want to, you know, be successful in PCI, that is a place that you can also start from and learn more about the industry, right? But for today, we were just going to be looking at the data breach investigations report. And I think for our PCI classes, some of them, we have them do a presentation on the payment security reports. I think they did one for 2022, right? The 2023, obviously we are in 2023. The 2022 is out, 2021 going back. You can go as far back as I think 2010, right? Now, Cisco, also a big player within the space. So Cisco has the Cisco annual cybersecurity report, right? That also highlights some trends and some of the threat vectors, cybercrime tactics that attackers are using out there, right? Now, Symantec, a big player, they have the Internet Security Threat Report, and this report also kind of focuses more on phishing and malware and most of the common attacks that we know. And then we have like the McAfee lab reports, labs threat reports. This also gives more insight into kind of similar to like the Symantec report, right? It focuses more on threats and patterns of attack that attackers are using throughout the whole entire year, right? CrowdStrike is also one of the big players within the cyberspace. They have their global threat reports. The name speaks for it. It focuses on threats most often, attackers, kind of like hackers, APTs, and techniques and tactics that they are using, kind of throwing more like similar to what we have in MITRE and ATT&CK, right? But this is annually, so they are up to date more than, you know, MITRE and ATT&CK, but MITRE and ATT&CK has their own thing also going on. And then we have the Punom Institute cost of data breach report, also focusing on the financial side when it comes to data breaches, right? How much it costs organizations when they get breached. And they also give you some case studies of organizations that got breached and how much they have to cover, right? So all these will give you some insight. So let's say if your organization, you have to do a presentation to your C-suite on why you need certain solutions within your organization and why it is costing that much. You might want to use this report to show them the figures and the numbers for companies who didn't take security seriously or who did maybe something wrong or fell victim to these breaches and how much they have to pay. Right? And I think that will that comparison will let them know that whatever they are spending is really nothing compared to what they can lose when they get breached. Right now, NIST, obviously, we cannot talk about reports without talking about. So NIST, if you didn't know, NIST has their annual cybersecurity and privacy reports, right? And they have it for every fiscal year, right? So I think the latest one that I came across with was, I think 2022 is there. I'm not sure, but 2021, right? And they list this together with their frameworks. So it is not a framework, it's a report for that year, but they list it together with all their publications, right? So if you go to NIST website, you'll be able to see their cybersecurity and privacy annual report, right? It also has some good insights really into what went on within the year. Now, Splunk, everybody knows Splunk, a big player within the cyberspace and the financial space, and managerial and all other spaces, because you can use Splunk for so many things. The app or the application Splunk is what I'm referring to, and the company's name is Splunk also. So Splunk, they also have state of security reports that they come up with. I think they have one for 2023. We will look at that. I think we have that, yes. And then ISACA, everybody who has been chasing certifications, you should be familiar with ISACA, right? If you want to write CISA, SIM, what is the other ones, like the RICS, the GRC, whatever, they have like a whole list of them, right? But they are most popular ones, CISA and SIM. So ISACA, they also have their state of cybersecurity reports annually that they come up with, right? So all these are places that you can go to, and you don't have to just take one report. So look at it from different perspectives, and you'll be able to gain a lot of good insights. And we are going to do some of that tonight, right? So, and then we come to ISE Square. So ISE Square, for them, their report focuses on the workforce, the cyber workforce, right? I think that is one that everybody on here will be delighted to take a look at. So we will look at that maybe probably first, and then we will jump into cybersecurity, the actual cybersecurity areas with threats and stuff like that, right? And then CompTIA, which is also one of the certification bodies. CompTIA also has state of cybersecurity report that they also come up with. I think their most current is 2022, right? So with this, I think we are going to move into look at the actual reports. But before we do, our Easter promotion that we were doing, the 30%, it ends tomorrow. And our PCI DSS class, new class, starts on 18th April. So for anybody who wants to get into that, the links will be posted, or if you reach out, we will give you the link for you to be able to register, and you can take advantage of the 30% also as well. And for the PCI DSS, if you are new to PCI DSS, you can go to our website, eretmisacademy.com. You should take our free PCI DSS course, the PCI DSS for beginners. And then from there, your career path, you can start with the PCI DSS specialist, and then upgrade into PCI DSS expert, or you can start straight with expert, because expert covers everything within the specialist and then some, right? So these are the prices for it, but with the promotion going on, I think the 7,500 comes down to 5,000, I think 5,125 or something, and then the 5,500 comes down to 3,850. So now for anybody else without just the PCI, if you want to get into cybersecurity, you have no IT background, our advice is for you to start with our cybersecurity entry-level course, which will move you from where you are now to where you can start working as a full-blown cybersecurity professional, right? Most people will, reach out and they want to jump straight from no background, no IT or cybersecurity background, straight into PCI. We do not really advise that, right? We do not advise that, because you need some background to be able to understand what is going on in PCI. PCI is a specialty area within cybersecurity, right? So with no cybersecurity or IT background, if you have an IT background, yes, we can work with you, because for the PCI, we go through a cybersecurity crash course. So at least you'll be able to pick up on some of the, some of the cybersecurity concepts as we move along. But because you have an IT background, it's a bit easier for you to catch up than with zero, right? With zero, our cybersecurity entry-level course is going to be your best bet, because that covers everything in terms of knowledge, skill, working with some of the hands-on tools, like some of the popular tools that you encounter on the job, like Splunk, Nexus, and the rest. And then you have internship, and then job placement assistant, and then you will, be on the job market, land a job, work as a security professional, and then you can maybe come back around to do PCI, right? So jumping straight into PCI with no background, not really advisable. you can go through the course, but the course is not going to go through you. Because once you're done, when you start applying for jobs is when you realize that you have a lot of gaps within your knowledge base, right? And we don't want to turn around and say, oh, Dr. Edu lied to me, right? We will tell you as it is. If you still insist, I mean, you have some background, you can do it, all right, but don't say we didn't tell you, right? But if you want to break into the industry without necessarily going the PCI route, because you do not have to, if you just want to work in cybersecurity, you can work in different job roles with just our cybersecurity entry-level course, right? So now let's move on. If there are no questions, we are going to start looking at some of these reports. All right, so with the reports, we are firstly, we are going to look at, I think, Alexander, go ahead. Alexander has his hand up.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to take advantage of this 30% off. I was wondering, sometime in like, let's say 4th of July, would you have another special? Do you know?
Yes, so mostly with occasions like that, we have some promotions. So 4th of July, yes, most definitely we're going to have something going on.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, and okay, anybody have any issues with the audio? I think Jerry was having an issue with it. I just saw that. Okay, so we are going to move on. So we are going to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 reports, right? And the rest, there is a whole list of them. So after this presentation, you can just go to Google and search cybersecurity annual reports. There's going to be a whole list of it that is going to come out. Download these reports, do a quick review, go through them, and you can, spread it over weeks. So every week you're going to look at one. That is how you get ahead in the industry. Frankly, most people, they are in the industry, but most of them don't even know about these reports, or they don't know what to use them for. And also, if you work in any capacity that you have to be doing presentations or you have to be doing security awareness training, these are your go-to resource, right? So if they want to do something on malware attacks, now you have a report that really is outlining everything in terms of malware attacks, the tactics they are using, ransom that people are paying, do they release data, do they not release data, right? All that, you don't have to look any further. Somebody has done the legwork for you. You just have to take it and, make it your own, right? So we are going to look at this report. So we'll come to all the questions in the chat. Michael, if you can keep an eye on all those questions in the chat for me. So we will look at Splunk's state of security. Okay, so I think I promised we're going to look at the workforce one from ISC Square first. For our folks on here who want to get some insight into what is going on in the cybersecurity workforce, this is your go-to, right? And this is by ISC Square. When you go to their website, you'll be able to download this. So let's do a quick run through. Now, this is for, it says a critical need for cybersecurity professionals persist amidst a year of cultural and workplace evolution. Okay, so let's move on. Mostly it will follow the normal path for a report, right? Executive summary, and then everything else will follow. So we're not going to, you can read the executive summary and all that. We're just going to look at some numbers and figures, right? So they estimate, based on their research that they did, estimate that the global cybersecurity workforce estimate for 2020 is going to be 4.6. I think that is 4.6 million, right? Okay, yes, 4.6 million. And they looked at it from North America, Latin America, and I don't know which this continent is, and I think this is Asia. I stand to be corrected, right? And so this is their estimates from, and like the breakdown by country. Yes, so breakdown by continent, sort of, or by country. So UK, France, and all these people. So you can look at that. Now let's move on. Now this is the gap, right? Kind of the shortage of cybersecurity professionals globally is 3.4 million, right? And this is not Dr. Edu saying, this is from a research that ISC Square did, right? So, and they also break it down. For the United States, is 360. I think now it is, if somebody can check on CyberSec, I think most people on here knows about CyberSec. I think now it's around 700 and something, not 400 anymore, right? And then for the different areas, this is the numbers right there, right? So this is the global gap for security professionals, and they have it broken down here. Now, this is where you get some really good insights. I think these were like questionnaires that they pushed out to folks. So we will skip that one. We will skip this one. We will skip this one too as well. Okay, so we will skip this as well. Now, which of the following is your organization doing planning? Okay, so we are still on the questionnaire that they use. Okay. Now, what it means for organization, the gap, understanding. Okay. So there are some key areas that I want us to look at. That is why I'm skipping. And that is also to kind of whet your appetite for you to, you know, take time, download this and go through yourself. Now, they even have like statistics on how long it takes to fill a cybersecurity position and all that, right? And they have like age statistics in terms of age and gender, how many people are working in security, how many people are, you know, like what category of folks are working in security and what category of folks are not, and all that. Keep going down. Sorry, there's like a lot of pages, so keep going. When we get to where I want us to talk about, I will, okay, every person line to have one banner. Okay, so all those are statistics from people who are working in the industry. Okay. Okay, I think we are coming to where I wanted. Okay, so diversity, equity, and inclusion. So by age, age by race. So 60 and older, non-white. I mean, all these are statistics for folks working within the security industry. Age by gender. Okay, so all these are really good insights, right? Age by gender, and then age group by race, by gender. So now almost every company today is, how do they call it? Equal opportunity company, right? So if you see your ethnicity is really underrepresented here, that means that you have a better chance of getting picked, right? If you come head to head with somebody whose ethnicity has more people within that space. So it is good to really school yourself on this as well. So, and you're not going to get this information anywhere if you don't find it in a report, right? And then also they have by country, men and women. So all these really good insights. Okay, white, non-white, women, men, all those by gender. So what I wanted us to look at, okay, what type of, so sorry if we are just like running through it because we have other ones that we have to look at. Which of the following best describes the path you took to cybersecurity? Okay, so you look at all that, and for degree, high school, okay, so all that. What is the highest level of education you have completed? So this was a survey that they conducted with people who are working in the industry, right? So for people who get hung up on, oh, I don't have a degree, I can't work in the industry, this is going to answer your question, because this is not from Dr. Edu saying, but it's from statistics or from like a research that they've done talking to people who work in the industry. So if you see people with just high school who are in there, even if you see 3%, it means if you have high school, you can work in the industry. Which best describe? Okay, so all these insights that you're going to gain from, so mostly from, like, if you ask me a question, right, my answers are from what I see in the industry, and then also what I know from reports, right? So what I see and what I think I know, if I see it in a report, that confirms it, like, okay, that is going on everywhere else. It's not just what I know within my, small area or what I see from other sister companies, but is, you know, industry-wide. So these reports kind of also validates what you think you know, right? And also might not validate what you think you know. There was one last thing that I wanted us to look at: how long it takes to fill cybersecurity positions within the industry. Okay, the impact of, okay, they even talked about impact of Ukraine war on security, and they have a list on here as well. Okay, good stuff. Now, despite the challenges, despite the challenging landscape, we are able to adequately mitigate risks percentages by industry, right? That is also here. Good. Future of cybersecurity work. I think what I was looking for is probably coming up here. Organizations, tools, and okay, in conclusion. So I saw that in the other report. Okay. Any which ways, that is still, so if you, maybe probably because I was rushing, if you take your time and you go through, okay, steady participants. So this is the number of people they got from different industries that they interviewed for this research, right? So at least you have some good insight into how they came up with their numbers and their figures as well, right? So this is the end of that report. That is for the cybersecurity workforce. Okay, so now let's look at not incidents. Let's look at NIST. So we'll look at NIST cybersecurity privacy annual report. This is for fiscal year 2021, right? And this is, I downloaded this from NIST, right? So this is, everybody can go on this website and download it. They made this in September 2022. I think they have the 2022 version there. I'm not sure. So NIST, mostly for them, they focus mostly on what is going to help the government, right? Because they are more inclined to that side, but still they have a lot of good practices, right? So cryptographic standards and validation, it talks, give you some good insight into some of the best practices. So mostly when we talk about best practices in these reports, NIST is one of the go-to places, right? And sometimes they get crazy, they get super technical, but I mean, you also have to get technical, all right? So things that you don't really are not familiar with, you can always look up. So cybersecurity measures, this is kind of plain. You can read this and understand more than the cryptographic stuff that they had on there. So that also you go through education and workforce, very critical, education and workforce. So I think we will have a cyber chat on the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, NICE. So NICE has a framework that maybe most people are not familiar with, but if you've gone through our entry-level course or even our free course, you would have encountered NICE, their framework, right? So, but we will do a full-blown cybersecurity workforce security cyber chat here one of these days. So they are also touching on what is going on in terms of the cybersecurity education, identity and access management. They also touch on identity and access management. So like I was saying, right, they look more on the government side. PIV is smart cards that are used in the government space. Privacy engineering. So there's a lot of good insights right from here. I think there is risk management. So you can go through, read, and get some more insight into this. Goal of this is to expose you to this. Now, moving forward, I think we can pick one report, right? One, we will kind of do we'll kind of do like a lottery and just pick 3 reports and do a quick, a really broad overview of those on Cyber Chat one of these days, right? And okay, so with the NIST, we are just going to jump on trustworthy networks. I don't know what they have for the other list, but they have some good, stuff in there. I think the last report that I read from them wasn't this one. It was for a year before this one, right? So yes, everybody has seen this. please do well and take a look at it. Now let's go to State of the Nation from Splunk. Not State of the Nation, State of Security from Splunk. Right now, Splunk also a big player within the industry. Let's look at what they have. So they even talk about the methodology that they use for the research, industries that they looked at, 15 industries, 10 countries, top security. So yes, like I was saying, you are going to gain a lot of good insight here. Top cybersecurity challenges. Respondents chose their top 3 internal challenges. So they have a list here. We spend most of our times addressing emergencies. So 31% people think that is what they are doing. We focus on regulatory compliance rather than security best practices, 27%. So you can go down the list, right? And for your company, mostly for this, if you're in a managerial position, this is going to be some good insight for you when you are making decisions, right? So, but that is just, I think when you go down in the report, you are going to get more insights into how they came about with those numbers. Now, how SOCs work, they also have it listed on here. Okay, so let's go through. They have resiliency in the main metrics, incident alerts and threats vectors, substantial impacts, lack of resiliency, vector by vector. Okay, so goals and strategies. From zero trust, from next to zero to resilience hero. Recommendations. Okay, so recommendations, best practices, what you can do to help improve your organization security posture overall, right? So not that of, it's only 38 pages. So a pretty simple report that you can easily go through, right? So that is from Splunk. Now let's move into Verizon data breach investigation report. They started 208, okay, 208 to 2022. So this is the 2022 report, I assume. Okay, so for them, we will jump straight into just quick overview of what they also have going on here. Of finance. Okay, so there are 4 key paths leading to your estate: credentials, phishing, exploiting vulnerabilities, and botnets. Okay, so for data breaches, I think like what they found to be the lead culprits when it comes to attackers being able to breach your network: credentials, phishing, exploiting vulnerabilities, and botnets, right? Ransom, and then also ransomware, which big corporates, ransomware, this is like the ransomware curve that they have. It keeps increasing. 2020, so look at the jump from 2019 to 2021, and it's only going to go up, right? I'm not sure ransomware is going to come down this way. It is only going to go up, but this will give you some insights into ransomware attacks as well. Now, misconfiguration also from 2019. So how attackers are able to use misconfiguration to breach networks is also increasing, right? And kind of came down a little bit here. I don't know what made it come, like what made it, come down at this point. But if you read more into it, yet to know. So results and analysis of findings, friend in low places. All right, and mostly, frankly, I love the reports that have kind of more of, a statistical appeal, right? So they have like the charts and stuff that make it, easy to digest, right? So I don't know what the actions shown tell a story of how security incidents or breaches play out, right? It's a bit like a Hollywood action movie, only the modest budget, and there are no exploitations or car chases. Okay, so I mean, this is whoever wrote this trying to be a big fancy, right? So hacking, malware, errors. Okay, so for breaches, I think by order of percentages on how well attackers were able to use that, or how common that was one of the ways, or how common attackers were able to use that is how they have it like listed here. So web application hacking, DDoS. So with DDoS attackers, they don't really get onto your network, but they just they attack availability. So your systems are going to be offline. Backdoor. Okay, so the whole list goes on. Now, everybody should also take a look at this 08 throwback. Okay. So at least you know how this looks like. We are going to move on to another report, right? So really good insights, a lot to be learned there. Let's go to Cisco. So Cisco it's only 23 pages, which is good. So privacy growing impacts and importance and impacts. Also follow the same format content, go all the way down to, I don't think for Cisco's, I didn't really see anything that really stands out that I really want to point out, but just wanted to go through it. So also for appearance, this is what I mostly like, because it kind of a visual person, it makes it make more sense, right? And if you are, like you don't have the time to go through the whole entire write-up, you can just pick up some key insights from this one. So top job responsibilities among security professionals. Okay. This is also pretty cool. So compliance. So depending on where you are, depends on what your responsibilities are. So risk assessment and management folks, yeah, way up there, right? CISOs and leadership, not bad over there. Okay. Number of privacy metrics. All right. So yes, we've seen this one. Also, you also get some insight from this. So now let's move on to another report. This report, I think, we just looked at we just looked at this. This is from NIST. So we saw NIST already. ISACAS, we didn't look at ISACAS, though. This is ISACA State of Cybersecurity 2020 global updates on workforce. Okay, I think for the workforce thing that I was talking about, for how long it takes to fill cybersecurity positions and stuff, it was from ISACA, not the ISC Square one that I saw. It was from ISACA, I think. So ISACAS is also 41 pages. Most of these reports, I think on average, they are not too lengthy for you to be able to digest. And ISACA also, they do really much of a good job with these, diagrams and stuff to make it easy and appealing to everybody. So respondents, for their research. Industries represented for this research, just like the one that we saw, but that was at the bottom of the page of the whole entire write-up. Okay, this was what I was looking for. So workforce by age, right? 18 to 24, 1%, 25 to 35, 11%. So this is workforce by age in cybersecurity or information security, right? Now 35 to 44 and 45 to 54 are the highest in terms of age working within the security space. 55 to 65 to 64, 16, 65 and up, and prefer not to answer the question is 5%, right? So some of these people we can still distribute over these ages, right? So there's really no age limits. So if you call me and I tell you there's no age limits, it's not just me saying it, right? You didn't see 65 and above, you didn't see 0, you saw 2%. So if you are 85 and you want to work in security, yes, you can still work in security, right? If you want to. So there is really no age limit. I don't think anybody's going to tell you no if you prove to them that you can do the job, right? Now, cybersecurity staffing. So how would you describe the current staffing of your organization? So significantly understaffed is 15%, somewhat understaffed 47%, appropriately staffed 34%, somewhat overstaffed 2%. So I mean, obviously, security is never overstaffed. Maybe probably for, I don't even think for any company you can have enough security professionals, right? Retention difficulties. So it's kind of difficult to retain cybersecurity professionals. I think over the years it keeps dropping now. Is now at 60 again, going up. So it's a bit difficult. Maybe they find a better gig somewhere with high paying money, so they will leave and go. Right? On-field positions. So does your organization have on-field positions from cybersecurity professionals or people within the organization that they asked? Yes, 63% said yes. 29% said no. I don't know, was 8%. Vacancies within the cyber. Okay, so this was what I was talking about. Now, time to fill cybersecurity positions within organizations. So statistically speaking, it takes, I think, 23% more time to fill cybersecurity positions than to fill any other IT position, right? If you didn't get that. So if it's going to take, maybe let's say, just you know, for an example, right? If it's going to take 3 days to fill any IT position, it's going to take 5 days or maybe 6 days to fill a cybersecurity position, right? That is why you go through like 5 or 3 plus interviews, mostly 3, right? Sometimes 4, but sometimes, like most of the times, most of the meet and greets with your hiring manager or whoever the recruiter is, we don't really count that as an interview, right? So how long does it take overall? How long does it take your organization to fill cybersecurity positions with qualified candidates? Now, if you look at some, like the statistics on here, on average, it takes 3 to 6 months to fill cybersecurity positions. So that is why I'm saying, also, like what I'm saying is based on industry statistics, right? It takes 23% more time to fill cybersecurity positions than other IT positions. And percentage of on-field cybersecurity positions at given organizational levels. So for different levels within the organization, we have managerial positions, senior managerial, you have technical, non-technical, consulting roles. So all those statistics of on-field positions in those areas are here, right? So for anybody who's looking to, okay, I want a security manager or a managerial position, what am I looking at? And these colors are so yes, so these colors were almost, so by like whatever they had on there for answers for that question is what they have like these colors for. And let's move on. So on-field positions reporting from 2018 to 2022, you have it right there, right? So for the blue is 2018, and then so coming down all the way to 2022. So executive level, obviously executive level, we don't feel you don't have as much people there as all the way down here to the individual contributor or the technical cybersecurity people, right? So the base is always bigger than the top in any institution or in any industry that you go to, right? So this is also some good insights for you. Future hiring demands for, okay, in the next year, do you see, so these were some of the survey questions or interview questions they asked people within the industry. In the next year, do you see the demand for the following cybersecurity positions or the following cybersecurity position levels increasing or decreasing or remaining the same? So individual contributors or technical cybersecurity folks or people I'll call implementers, the people actually doing the legwork. Some people said 82. So 82 is increase, no increase, decrease. So everybody think it's going to increase. Now, if you look at, I think it's only for senior managers and directors, they think it's not going to really increase that much. For executive C-suite, not going to increase that much, or no change. Okay, so no change was really big in the top executive level. Hiring demands, okay, for years. Okay, so this is okay. Pipeline changes. I don't know what that is, but percentage of cybersecurity applicants who are well qualified. They have the list also on here by okay, so on average, how many cybersecurity applicants are well qualified for the positions for which they are applying to? So 1 to 25%, 50 to 75%, 100 to, okay, not applicable. And candidates qualification. So how important are each of the following factors in determining if a cybersecurity candidate is qualified? So prior hands-on cybersecurity experience, credentials, hands-on experience, employer recommendation, university degrees, association membership. So association membership. So if you are kind of a member of ISACA or ISE Square or any of these other bodies, right? So, and the answers were what? Very important, somewhat important, not important, right? Okay, all the way to I don't know. So hands-on experience, obviously, very important. Credentials, very important, somewhat important. Hands-on, okay, somewhat important. Yep, so I mean, you can go through and look at that. Quantified skills gap. All right, so this is also one place that you're going to get a lot of good insights, right? So what are the biggest skill gaps you see in today's cybersecurity professionals? Now, don't say I didn't tell you. Look all the way here. What is this right here? Soft skills. I mean, and like I've not seen these statistics from ISACA prior to this, right? But I can tell you on authority, this is accurate. Soft skills is what is mostly going to make you or unmake you during interviews. It's not your technical skills. So I keep stressing on soft skills in cybersecurity. And some people think, oh, yeah, you know, I'm just going to chase technical skills and totally ignore soft skills or try to groom myself on that side when it comes to interviews or even on the job, right? If you don't know how to really manipulate within the soft skills area, you are going to be eating for dinner, right? So soft skills, they play a critical role in cybersecurity, not just in cybersecurity, in all other industries as well. But in IT or in cybersecurity specifically, it plays a very critical role. So if you have good soft skills, you are in a better position. That is why I tell everybody, people come in and they are like, okay, I don't have any experience going into the job. If I'm done with maybe some cybersecurity training elsewhere and I want to apply for a job, I don't have any experience. You are wrong, because you don't know what you don't know. Now, what we are looking for in terms of experience in cybersecurity is not just technical experience. Soft skills experience also counts, right? So if you're in a managerial position for the past 10 years and you are switching into cybersecurity, you can leverage yourself more if you after gaining some technical skills, leverage yourself into a managerial role, cyber managerial role, where you are not necessarily going to be on daily basis applying your technical knowledge, but you'll be applying your soft skills that you've acquired over years, right? And if your soft skills are heavy, applying for a managerial role or a role that requires more soft skills, you look like a rock star, right? As opposed to you have a lot of soft skills, coming in, and if your technical skills are kind of not really up to speed, and you are going to apply for a purely technical, like a purely technical role, you are going to run into a lot of frustrations, right? So that is why, oh yeah, they are not giving me the role because I don't have experience. They are not giving. No, you have to know what to apply for and what not to apply for, right? It's not because you've done some cybersecurity training now, all cybersecurity jobs you are qualified for. You might, but which ones are you really going to, do well in, right? So all that you can pick insight from reports like this, right? So for areas, so for skills, computing, cloud computing skills, 52%, right? So cloud is, something that everybody should also be eyeing. Coding skills is 33%. Now software development, so the list goes on. System hardening, blah, 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 all that. Okay, so some good insights right there. Cybersecurity degree confidence, strongly agree, strongly disagree, neither agree nor disagree. Okay, so they didn't really read the entirety of this. I think this has to do with university insights into, I think, maybe degrees as it pertains to cybersecurity. So you can, if you go through this, you get some good insight on there as well. Right now, skills gap among recent graduates, they're still going down the list. So you can also gain a lot of insights on that as well. Retention, that is more of for HR and top management. So employee benefits, like employer benefits. So pay employees, certification fees. Okay, so some of the benefits that you're going to get for working within the industry, qualifying workforce issues. Now we're spending a little bit more time on this than the others because I think this is more interesting than the previous one, the other workforce that we looked at, right? The other ones were not workforce related. Now, top 5 soft skills that you need in cybersecurity. So please choose top 5 most important soft skills needed by cybersecurity professionals in your organization today. So 1, communication, writing, and speaking. Critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork. So I think, frankly, teamwork should be up here. Maybe probably replace critical thinking, or teamwork should be shoulder, hand in hand with communication, right? Attention to detail should also be moved up to above critical thinking, right? You can have really good critical thinking skills. If you don't pay attention to detail, all that is going to go to waste. Right, adapt to changes, decision-making, leadership skills, okay, yeah, writing, conflict resolution. This should also go a little bit up, I think, in terms of percentage. Honesty, yes, empathy, okay. So some good insights, right? And mostly, just want to go back a little bit to give some free advice on this. So mostly for soft skills, during interviews, they are not going to ask you, hey, are you a good problem solver? Nobody is going to ask you that. Do you pay attention to detail? Nobody is going to ask you that. But how do they get answers, or how are they going to know that you're a critical thinker, or how are they going to know that you are a good problem solver, right? They are going to infer all these answers from questions that they ask you that we are not really going to think much about, right? Sometimes it's even in the initial meet and greet conversation. Hey, so, how are you doing? What do you do? What are your hobbies? So why did you go to this school and not that school? You think all those are just getting to know each other. They are not. They are part of the interview, right? So don't be too relaxed and just be talking for talking's sake. Because if I ask you, why did you choose school A, right, instead of school B, and you just say, because my best friend went there, so I chose it. Now, that wasn't really, you didn't really demonstrate any form of critical thinking there, right? You just follow your friend, right? If, like they ask you about something else, so how well do you work with people, or, are you a team player, or you love to work independently? And if you are like, oh yeah, I just love to, I don't like dealing with people. I just shot your foot, like you just shot yourself in the foot right here. Teamwork. Right. So mostly, I think in one of our cyber chats, we had one student who went for an interview, and he was so frustrated because the lady was it was a normal conversation, right? They were talking about, they didn't ask him anything about cybersecurity or even the job description or anything, just picking his brain on why he moved from Texas to New York, or why just talking about normal stuff. Why would you do this instead of this? And, just picking up some, like, it's like you're talking to like some stranger you met at the bus stop, right? So you are just picking on some conversation that doesn't really bother on anything. Now, just after that very light conversation, they sent him an email that they are moving on with somebody else. And he couldn't, fathom why they didn't interview him, but they are moving on with somebody else. But he forgot that whole interview, they were, they were trying to gauge his critical thinking, his problem solving, like everything in terms of soft skills, right? I think that job was more heavy on soft skills. So just picking up, like talking to you, and you think this conversation is just a casual conversation. Please, in interviews, there is nothing like casual conversation. So even if they're asking you about sports and, hey, did you watch that, match? It was really nice, that baseball game. Still, don't lose your guard. That is all that I'm trying to say. Right? Don't lose your guard and just go off and just be talking nonsense. Because if you do, that is going to go against you. Now you don't understand why you answered all your technical questions right. And, I think you did so well, but they didn't pick you. You might have said something that triggered. They're like, okay. So maybe probably we're not going with this person, or, we might move on with somebody else. So getting back on course, means of mitigating technical skills gap. Okay, so they have all that here as well. So good insights from ISACA's report. Yes, I think this is ISACA's report that we are still looking at. Okay, I think let's look at this real. Okay, enterprise security budget outlook. Okay, I thought it was going to focus on threat landscape. So threat landscape. Let's see what they got for threat landscape. Okay. So threat actors, common threat actors that people think they've encountered on the job is what they've listed on here. Attack types also on here. All right. So obviously, there's more interesting stuff in this report. So I'm going to move on to another report. Right. That way we can wrap it up for tonight. I think the last one that we'll look at, or what we've not looked at, is the incident response. So we looked at Splunk, we looked at NIST. No, this is not NIST, this is Verizon. We've looked at Verizon data breach. We've looked at Cisco. Let me move this out of the way. We've looked at NIST. We've looked at, this is what we are looking at, ISACA. And okay, we looked at ISC squared already. So the last one left that we're going to look at is the incident response, right? And for most organizations, this is what is going to help you really bounce back when you run into an incident, or when there's a data breach or anything of that sort. Now, everybody, if you're a security professional on here, if you don't want to look at any of the reports that we looked at, please do look at the incident response, because it is going to help you and your organization. And then also, in terms of planning, this is going to be your go-to, right? There are other good incident response, like incidents reports out there. Can't remember maybe most of them offhand, but you can Google them and you find most of them on there. So just from the little summary that they have on the executive summary, so 70% of incident response cases over the past 12 months were ransomware and business email compromise. Right now, you just have some really big insights just by looking at just this first page. Right, so within your company, you know that you have to be putting in place controls to prevent business email compromise, and then also to prevent ransomware. So 70% were ransomware business, and 77% were of intrusions are suspected to be caused by initial access vectors. Example, phishing, exploitation of known software vulnerabilities, brute force attacks, primarily that focus primarily on remote desktop protocols. And then also more than 87% of positive identified vulnerabilities fell into one of 6 main categories. So proxy shell, logic 4j, sonic wall, proxy logon, Zoho. Okay, so Zoho's managed engine, and AdSelf, Plus, and Fortnite. So vulnerabilities, vulnerabilities that were found, they were six. They were categorized into 6 main categories, right, or grouped into 6 main categories, and these are here. Now 7%, 7 most targeted industries were. See, so I think now maybe everybody on here is really getting the twist on, or getting the idea behind why you have to go through such reports, because it just will equip you with a lot of knowledge and skill, right? So if you are sitting in a meeting and they are asking about, or like debating maybe how much they have to put up in terms of resources to prevent ransomware or to prevent any of like anything else, let's say maybe probably like Logic 4 or like Sonic Wall, they are debating about it. Now is easy. Then like the numbers are obvious, right? Which one are you going to put more money to, and which one? And also for presentations and everything else that you want to do and research, this is really going to help you and your organization out. And for you, it's going to make you look like a rock star, right? Knowing these numbers is not how many years you've worked in the industry, is how much you want to research into what is going on into the industry, right? You can be working in the industry for 300 years and still not know any of these. You might think that ransomware is very, prevalent now, but you don't know at what percentage, right? Maybe business email compromise is not even on your radar, right? You don't even know what is going on that side. But now, guess what? 70% of all incidents, were attributed to business email compromise, right? So it's not how long you've worked in the industry, it's how much you want to research and how much you want to learn, right? Now, I think for industries, which industries suffered the most breaches? 7 major industries. So financial finance, professional and legal services, manufacturing, healthcare, high tech, wholesale, and retail. Right. So if you work in any of these industries, then you know that you have to, your cybersecurity game has to be on point, right? And 50%, okay, so 50% of targeted organizations lack, multi-factor authentication on key internet-facing systems, such as a corporate webmail or virtual private network solutions and other remote access solutions, right? So this is just by looking at this page gives you a lot of really good info to help your organization, right? I think everybody should, at least if you are not going to download any of these, download this one from Palo Alto. If you Google incident response report 2022 from Palo Alto, I think they call it unit 24. So you are going to get this. And now everything that we looked at was executive summary. When we go deep into the report, it breaks it down, right? How incident response data can help prevent bad days. It breaks it down. It even shows you what you can do with this, right? How to use this report. And it goes on and on. I think for our internship, this was posted for the internship that is about to wrap up. They will be graduating here, I think, in the next 2 weeks. They had this, this was posted when they were doing their incident response week or weeks. I think we took 2 weeks to do it. So please do go ahead and at least download this one, if not for any of them. Just this one will give you some really good insight, because just the executive summary gives you a lot of really good insight. And they also have what I like, the statistical appeal and all those diagrams and charts for you to really make sense of everything that is going on. So the list that they made for industries that were most affected, they even have it by the type of attack, right? So I think like this is very insightful. So this is why, if you want to get ahead of the game in the security space, it's not how many years you've worked is going to give you experience, but when it comes to facts, how many years you've worked is not really going to cut it. You have to research and dig deep into reports and other publications within the industry. Okay, so I think with that we are going to wrap it up here and pause for questions, and then we'll wrap it up and close for tonight. Alexander, you have a question, or that was from previously? I think Alexander probably was from previously, right?
Question.
Go ahead.
I know I spoke with you this afternoon, and I'm here in late. My question is, I saw you spoke a lot of things just in the next 5 minutes I got in. Is it possible I can get a audio of what you taught today to an email so I can review what you said already? And then second is the registration we talked about ISA this afternoon from Georgia, John.
Okay. Okay, so recording of this will be posted. We are streaming live on YouTube, so the live version will be on there already, and the recording will be also posted maybe probably tomorrow morning, right? So, and for the income sharing agreement, then we will send you the link on the back end. Right.
Thank you.
Daniel, go ahead, and then Eric will follow.
So hi, Edu, Emmanuel Edu. My name is Daniel. This is my first time here. Someone sent me the link and I joined. Actually, what you're teaching were really insightful. I'm actually into PCI. I'm also doing PCI DSS with a different school as well. But I was kind of interested in the vulnerability management tools. Because that's probably I'm trying to take the certifications with the companies themselves, like Splunk, Nessus, and there's also one that I think that I really wanted to do, which is Qualys VDMA. So that's probably what I was going through your programs. I wanted to be sure if with hands-on security, I saw some hands-on course like that. Yeah, where you have all those tools that you are. So I just wanted to find out if it's self-paced, something you can do within some few time, because actually I'm done with my PCI DSS training though, but the tools is where I have the issues, because they just ask you to go and learn the tools get the certifications from other from the websites. They have free training and all that, right? Yes, yeah. So that's probably what I was looking at. I don't know if it works that way.
Okay, so maybe just we'll talk a little bit and we can talk offline. So you are done with your PCI DSS training and you are waiting to get to know how to use some of the vulnerability scanning tools?
Yes, the vulnerability scanning tools. I mean, because most of the jobs you see that come out, they much about vulnerability scanning, risk management, and all that. So if you don't know how to use some of those,
no, are the job descriptions you're talking about, are those purely PCI jobs, or they are just general cybersecurity jobs?
So the general cybersecurity PCI jobs. I mean, we are trained to be like ISAs, right? Not QSAs, because they want us to be ISAs before we can work with a QSA company to become QSAs. So PCI jobs I'm applying, but I feel that I still need some of this to learn these tools, so that could also help me expand my tentacles. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So for our cybersecurity entry, our cybersecurity hands-on training, we take you through a variety of tools, right? Give you exposure to most of the tools, so Nexus, Splunk, Qualys, and then virtualization itself. So help you set up your own cybersecurity lab, right? Download some vulnerable machines like Metasploitable and the rest. Show you how to do like port scans and stuff like that, how to analyze reports and stuff like that. So if that is what you're looking for, yes, then that course will help you to do exactly that.
Yeah, I mean that's where I have a short fall, and everything we're talking about, I've also been watching on YouTube a lot, and everything makes a lot of sense. And but that is where I have a lot of shortfall. I mean, using the tools, because I've never used them before. It's my first time. Maybe.
Very well. Thank you, Eric.
Hello, Doc. My question is, after the completion of this workshop internship program, are we going to be awarded a certificate? And the second one is, would this certificate be recognized by the various IT bodies out there, either nationally or worldwide? Thank you.
Yes and yes. So short answer to your questions. Two questions is yes and yes. So you're going to get 2 certificates from 2 in 1, but 1 in, there's nothing like 1 in 2, but 2 in 1. Right. Okay. So it's going to be one from us, and then also for the company that you work for. Right. So one from Eretmis Academy, and then one from the company that you work for, and you can use it anywhere. Yes, you did work for those companies, and those companies, you can also cite them on your resume as part of. So if like on your resume, you did work for either Diaspora Care or ADDI, if you're working for any of those companies. So yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. And now I'm going to go through the chat in here real quick. I think like Michael, was anything outstanding in the chat?
No, I'm going here.
Go ahead.
No, okay, I'll wait, Daniel. No, I don't see anything. Yeah, you can go ahead, Daniel.
Oh no, I actually asked my question already. So I just wanted clarity on. So I actually want to do the hands-on, right? And just to get to use know how to use the tools. That's actually where my concern is. So that's what I wanted to do. So I just wanted guidance on what to do. I see that you have a promo that is ending tomorrow. And
Yes.
And this is actually so selling for me. So I'm just looking at it.
Okay, Mike. Daniel, Eric. I think Eric just asked this question, so I'm going to lower Eric's hand. So for the link, Jason, go ahead.
Greetings, Doctor. Going back to the situation at the beginning. So I asked a question in the chat, but I think it's lost now. So based on the situation, as I said before, it was posted on Discord for a couple of days before and other social media sites before it caught traction and got on the news.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in terms of data loss prevention that, or any other system that are in place that could track the movement of the data once it leaves the site, and also do anything else, modify, delete? Is there anything in our arsenal for things like those?
So you are referring to the Air Force incident, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you might think within the Air Force or within like the military setting, like security is really high notch, but unfortunately it is not so, right? They try to, you know, as much as they can, but in practice, it is normal people like, you know, anybody else working elsewhere that is handling this form of data. So when it comes to maybe putting in place stringent data loss prevention systems in place, maybe they might have some of it. I know within like the last unit that I used to work for, in a day, it will surprise you how many phishing emails that we were getting and we were blocking. In a day, it was more than like maybe 50,000 plus, right?
Wow.
So their systems do work, but when it comes to internal threats, it's a bit dicey, right? It's really a bit dicey. Like, how would you know the pilots that you flying the plane with? You guys have flew for years, you know, will probably had a bomb on him on this last flight. How would you know, right? I mean, you like those ones you can really not anticipate. So insider threats, you can do everything, because everything that we do and plan is mainly for outside. If somebody is in the inside already, they've, you know, kind of crossed a lot of the security already, right? Like they are inside. So most of the security stuff that we're pushing out there is not going to apply to them. So even with data loss prevention, yes, of course, if I try to send something, that I'm not supposed to, the data loss prevention system is going to catch it. But what if, like, I think Eliku was the one who said it, he printed it, right? And probably he printed it at work, right? So who is going to search him? Who is going to search him and see that he's not carrying classified documents in his pocket, right? Taking it home or in his bag, right? So those ones, it becomes a bit, you just have to trust the integrity of the person. But at least there has to be some level of trust for, everywhere, like for people that we are working with. Because trust, although it's not a good security strategy, but it's part of security strategy, unfortunately, right? Because like I'm saying, how would you know they are just going to grab it and take it away? So I think like when in the army, back when I was stationed in South Korea, one day we were in the office and there was some like a pile of papers on the floor somewhere. I'm like why do they have this here? Picked a couple of it up, and guess what was on there? A list of people's names and social securities and date of birth, just hanging out on the floor, and people are stepping on it, going back and forth, minding them. Like, what? Right? So if I picked it and I had no integrity, I can probably put all of it and pretend I'm going to put it in the trash and take it home. Yeah, and nobody's going to ask me anything. So all those lapses are there. I mean, it's still a human institution. So, sometimes we just have to trust on the training and integrity we're trying to instill, especially in the military setting. Integrity we are instilling in people, trust it is going to work. So that is my little take.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes.
You've been teaching me a lot, but you're also destroying my dream of doing the things just like in the movies.
All right. All right. So without any questions, I think in the chat, anything else in the chat that we didn't address? If you had a question in the chat and we didn't address, you can please unmute yourself and ask.
So I think, I don't know if you're.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I don't know if you already addressed it, but someone was asking what is the best way to prevent ransomware? Someone's asking best way to prevent a ransomware. Is it, and the person was asking, does it depend on the type of network or the threat landscape, or what's the best way?
Okay, so I also counter that with a question, right? So, I keep stressing on security. When we talk about security, we have to address security through three main lenses, right? People, processes, and what is the last one? People, processes, and technology, right? So when it comes to ransomware, which of these three do you think is the route that attackers are easily able to use to get onto our networks to perpetuate ransomware? Anybody want to give it a shot? If we know the answer to that, then we will know what is going to be the best way to prevent ransomware. Okay, go ahead, Rodriguez.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Du. I can't wait for the class to start for the PCI DSS. During the class, do you recommend any reinforcement? For example, Udemy or anything that comes to your mind that we can process while the class is, while we take in the class? Any reinforcement?
Okay, with a PCI, for maybe I'll probably leave it for people in the PCI class to speak to that, but there is a lot of material to be covered. So I don't really think you have that luxury of looking elsewhere. Master what we give you, and then if you want anything else, I think like everything that we're giving you is almost everything that you need, right? Even more. Anything else that you need outside of that will be maybe probably getting an updated like documents from PCI in terms of maybe like a new update to like one of their frameworks or something, right? But aside that, anywhere else that you want to learn PCI, most of it will be kind of introductory stuff, especially like with Udemy. People on there are just, not saying people are not also trying, but some of the courses that I've seen there is just, even our PCI for beginners has more stuff in there than most of the paid courses elsewhere. So you are going to be bombarded with a lot of material, a lot. So just fasten your seatbelt and be ready there's going to be too much for you to do in that aspect. But I think to the question, hopefully that answers your question. To the question that I was asking, through which route is ransomware able to get onto our networks? When we look at it from the people, processes, and technology standpoint, somebody just posted in the people, right? Because now I will say, not based on any research that I've done, but just on my own experience and industry knowledge, probably maybe 80 to 90% of all ransomware attacks, they are executed through phishing attacks, right? So phishing, people easily fall, victim to phishing emails, and through that, attackers are able to get onto their network and then encrypt everything and ask for a ransom. So if we want to tackle ransomware and try to prevent ransomware attack, we have to tackle the people aspect of security. So security awareness training and just security education is, I would say on top of my list when it comes to trying to prevent ransomware attack. Because you can put in place all the technological solutions that you want, but if killer just decides to click on any email that comes their way, right, your data loss prevention systems and your SOAR tools and your SOC tools and none of that is going to help, right? So we have to tackle the people aspect, and the people are the most vulnerable when it comes to any security setting, right? They are the ones who are curious. They are the ones who are going to open emails and do all sort of stuff. So we have to tackle the people aspect. So simple answer, if you want to address ransomware within any company, you have to really focus really much and take your security awareness training very seriously, right? It doesn't have to be once a year, right? So it has to be in their face the whole time. Every month, you have to be doing it. And also expose them to a lot of case studies when it comes to ransomware. That way they are more cautious, right? So that is my long answer to that short question. All right, so we are wrapping it up here. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you very much. Fridays, you could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here to share knowledge. Kwabena, I'll give Kwabena the floor and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, go ahead, Kwabena.
Yes, real quick, Dr. Edu. So you mentioned AI, artificial intelligence. You mentioned that a bit. Where do you think that fits into the mix in terms of what you just spoke of, in terms of preventing things like this type of activity that you just mentioned?
Oh, in terms of preventing ransomware?
Yes.
So AI is a bit broad, right? It depends on what tool we are looking at and what AI, like the role AI is playing in that tool, right? But AI, so how AI is able to help in how we have it set up. So if maybe probably we have set it up where like your firewall has some artificial intelligence, or any solution you are using has artificial intelligence, how it can help is it's able to kind of detect things that we will ordinarily not be able to detect, right? It's able to look at patterns and use that to make like decisions and block traffic, right? So unlike back in the day where we were just using access control for our firewalls and routers, those we were just going to allow or deny, but if an attacker is able to probably encrypt a malware, it's going to pass through, right? Because firewalls were not able to decrypt the traffic and to actually look at what is being transmitted. But now with AI, some firewalls, the new generation firewalls, they are able to really analyze most of these and kind of get ahead of the attackers with some of the tricks that they use to bypass some of the solutions that we have. So yeah, AI plays a really key role, but then we come all the way back, circle back to us people, right? Most problematic in any security setting. So we shouldn't forget that as security professionals, people are the ones who are going to configure systems. People are the ones who are going to click on emails. People are the ones who are doing everything. So even with the security solutions that we put in place, if the people who are configuring it, if they don't know what they are doing, our security solution that cost us thousands of dollars will look as if we didn't have it because it is not configured right. So if we have the most expensive, maybe like firewall system that we've set up, and we are using default username and password on it, I mean, come on. Attackers can easily just, log in from anywhere and, have their day. So the people aspect, always very critical, always very critical. That is why there's always room for improvement in security. So there's nothing like 100%, security. And because there's also nothing like zero risks. So the people aspect, I mean, we cannot stress on that enough, right? All right, everyone. So without any more questions, I think there was a question in here again. When will the 30% discount expire? So 30% discount expires tomorrow night. And for PCI DSS class, we are starting on Tuesday. And okay, so the link and everything will be sent out for all students in the PCI DSS, right? For you to join on Tuesday. So we are wrapping it up. I appreciate everybody's time. I'll see everybody next week, God willing. For all students in different classes, we will meet during the week. If this is your first time, please go to our website, take our free courses. And also on our YouTube, check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of good info like what we talked about today. Good topics on there that you can learn from. And stay safe. And we'll meet again next week, God willing. Have a blessed weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Du.
You too. Thanks. Bye.